Right, just gonna wait for the page to catch up a second because I don't want a horrible feedback thing in the background. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Well, folks, it's been a while since I've done a live stream. I haven't seen Fastlane, and from the general consensus, I'm probably doing myself a favor in the process because apparently it wasn't that great. But I will comment on the things that I've seen from Monday Night Raw via the WWE app. I just get this put onto the book. Here's Extravaganza. Build up. WrestleMania 33, WWE Raw. And WWE. Yeah, keep it simple. I'm just going to go quickly to the Wikipedia page. Now, the matches that we've got signed. So far, we've got 5 matches signed. I'm hoping there's going to be more added to the card, but you know how WWE likes to be so interchangeable. I mean, one of the matches that we want to see happen is John Cena versus The Undertaker, simply because it's one of those matches that, why hasn't this happened before at WrestleMania? I know we've had Cena versus The Taker before, but the last time Cena and Taker faced each other on pay-per-view was Vengeance 2003. And as I seem to recall, Taker, although he came out the victor, he walked out with a bit, worse for wear. Cena was more of an animal back then, but make of that what you will. The 5 matches we've got signed. SmackDown's main event for the WWE Championship, Bray Wyatt versus AJ Styles or Randy Orton. I'd say just make it a triple threat and have done, because, that's kind of what we want it to be. Second, there's word going around on the wire that they want to try and make it AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. I really don't see the point in this, simply because, why? I mean, it's not to say AJ Styles couldn't have a decent match with Shane O'Mac, but, the whole concept of competitor versus owner authority figure, stop. Please stop trying to recreate the Austin versus McMahon angle. The only 2 that worked are the 2 gentlemen I just mentioned, because, they tried to do it with Daniel Bryan and Triple H, and whilst it was a heck of a match at WrestleMania 30, I just don't understand why WWE want to try and replicate the magic that Austin and McMahon had, because that was just magic chemistry that you just couldn't manufacture. I mean, anybody who's, listening to this, go onto the WWE network. As soon as you're done with this, go look through Austin 316 Uncensored, Stone Cold Hell Yeah, Austin versus McMahon, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the bottom line on the most popular superstar of all time. Go through all of that, and you will see why they can't replicate that, because that was genuine, that was organic, that was... It's something that just wasn't contrived. It was genuine. And they kind of tried doing it with Triple H and Vince McMahon. It's like, guys, no. Just no. And the whole... It was from Randy Orton a second. I need to say this. with that whole segment with Bray Wyatt and Orton at the compound, setting the compound alight. Who was the heel here? And I think that's the first time I've ever seen Bray Wyatt in despair. It's like, okay, you know, wasn't expecting this. Oh, I don't know what to make of that. I'm just looking up, thinking, all right. You know, if anything, it kind of made Orton look like the heel, even though Bray Wyatt is, for all intents and purposes, a heel. But I don't know. It's kind of like, I think Oni said it best once. It's like booking makes no sense. I know he's listening to this thinking, I hate it when you do this. But yeah, that one, that's kind of a, you know, what do you do with that? And then Goldberg versus, oh boy, Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. Universal title. I'm kind of hoping they don't really do rinse and repeat. Because this whole thing of Goldberg coming and squashing people in, like, you know, next to no time matches. I mean, I had an inkling that they would set up Goldberg versus Lesnar yet again. This time for an actual belt. But, you know, when you do something like this for WrestleMania, you can't, and I repeat, you can't do a thing where you go into WrestleMania and have a squash match. WrestleMania 28 for the World Heavyweight title, notwithstanding, and excuse my language for this, but even to this day, that was bullshit. You know, I appreciate WWE likes to do this thing where they surprise people and shock people, but you really want to surprise us, give us a 20 to 30 minute classic between Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. You could have easily done that, but no, you wanted to take the cheap route, and, you know, I'm just not going to get into it because 28 was 5 years ago. But yeah, Universal title. Here's what I say with this. I'm really hoping Goldberg retains, and I'm going to explain why I am thinking this. Yeah, we don't really like it when part-timers come in and take a belt and a spot that could go to one of the guys that's there consistently week in, week out. But you do know what's going to happen if Brock wins the belt. He's only going to show up as and when it suits him. Here's what I want to see happen. Goldberg, at least, you at least get a 20-minute match out of him this time. Spears, jackhammers, Lesnar, done. And then, and for him, the next night on Raw, drop the belt. He announces he's retired. He's out. And then you have, let's say, for Extreme Rules, which I'm presuming is a Raw pay-per-view, set up a tournament to determine the two number one contenders and have them fight for the vacated Universal title. Because if we have Brock holding the belt, he's only going to show up as and when he wants to. And I'm kind of getting sick of this whole BS where a champion holds a belt longer than 30 days, doesn't get stripped of it, when there's supposed to be this mandatory 30-day title defense rule, which was highlighted. I first learned about this rule in early fall of 2004, when then GM of Raw, Eric Bischoff, had revealed that because of Edge's injury at the time, it meant his injury was going to surpass 30 days, and he was not going to be able to defend the Intercontinental title, so he stripped Edge of the belt. If that rule is supposed to be in place for all belts, then Lesnar, by all accounts, should have been stripped of that belt 5 times when he had the WWE title from SummerSlam up to WrestleMania 31. You see how there's a lot of double standards these days, but this is WWE. Double standards is thy middle name most of the time. So yeah, Jericho versus Owens, for a while. I mean, I was starting to see the little cracks in the friendship, but then when it led to the Festival of Friendship, particularly when you see people wearing pony hats, and I'm like, oh, good Lord, here come the... It's when it goes to the Festival of Friendship, I thought, yeah, here come the My Little Pony memes on Facebook. Oh, good Lord. So, I mean, this is the thing that was talked about on social media. So, Kevin Owens does a heel turn whilst as a heel, if that makes any sense to you. Again, I kind of predicted that Jericho would screw Owens out of the belt at Fastlane just by showing up. He didn't even get physically involved. It's like, break the walls down. Owens is distracted. Goldberg spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Owens has dropped the belt. And to be fair, I think Owens had the belt long enough, considering it was supposed to be Finn Balor, to have held that belt longer. But we all saw what happened at SummerSlam last year. Oh, that was brutal. But the United States title match, it's going to be an old school classic between these two, probably on par with the quality of that of Jericho versus AJ Styles from WrestleMania 32 last year, and that was badass. The Raw Women's Championship, of which I like to call the Femme Fatale Championship, because I prefer the days when they had the brand split originally, where there was enough differentiations or enough differences, if you will, with regards to the opposing title names on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, let's just go with the idea for a second that we didn't have a US title. We just had the Intercontinental title. Could you imagine what would happen if Raw had Raw's Intercontinental Championship and then the Intercontinental SmackDown title? Do you see how this kind of falls apart in itself? Here's what I would have done with regards to the Raw and SmackDown women's titles. The women's title, stays on Raw because Charlotte was the one that was drafted to Raw. So, with regards to the female championship that they created on SmackDown, instead of calling it the SmackDown Women's title, why not call it, the Ladies Championship or the Femme Fatale Championship, something that sets it apart from Raw. Here's the thing, WWE, it can actually be a good thing to have differences that sets things apart. I mean, is it going to get to a point where we have, the Universal title gets its names changed to the WWE Raw Championship, and the WWE Championship on SmackDown becomes the WWE SmackDown Championship? You just see how this just gets so confusing. But anyway, babbling, which I have a nasty habit of doing. Bayley, Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks. Word on the wire is that Sasha is going to turn heel. I really hope not. I kind of like Sasha the way she is. And for Bayley, this is something she's waited for a while with regards to since coming onto the main roster. She spent a fair year and a little bit on NXT when I started watching in late 2015, which renewed my faith in women's wrestling. Because, well, we all know what happens when you go to the main roster these days. And, you know, they botched the whole Divas Revolution thing. Particularly when they had PCB, Team Bad, and, you know, the Bella League. Or Team Bella. I call it the Bella League because I'm getting sick and tired of this team nonsense that they do. That they do these days. You know, we've had enough of Twilight. So, you know, seriously, guys, just stop it. You know, this is why when we did the Survivor Series panel, I said, you know, what about the Monday Night Babes versus, and as A-Log said, how you doing, by the way, good sir, if you're listening, you know, the SmackDown Sweethearts. You know, just something different. Not the whole team this, team that. You know, we've had that. It's done. It's old. It's generic. It's bland. It's boring. No more team. We want, you know, this was something that we talked about years ago for like Survivor Series team-ups. You know, have like the Misfits versus the A-listers. You know, something that's original. Something that actually makes you think. I'm going off on a tangent again, and I apologize. I say Bayley to win for this one simply because it's just fresh. You know, it's just something a little bit different. And, you know, with regards to Charlotte Flair having her pay-per-view streak broken, who cares? You know, because here's where I'm going to be constructive. Charlotte Flair, as an athlete, one of the very best female wrestlers that have stepped foot in the WWE since the likes of Trish, Lita, Jacqueline, Mickie James, and probably to some extent Ivory. But in terms of her character, this is where I'm going to be that guy. She comes off as a little bit bland and wooden because I've seen this kind of heel shtick. And when I say heel shtick, it just feels like she's purposely trying to be bad for the sake of being bad as a character. When you look at the women that have been heels before, I mean, with Lita, it came naturally. I mean, especially with the heel run she had from 05 onwards. Ugh. Ooh, there. Trish could easily be a decent heel. Jackie was a decent heel. Ivory played a really decent heel with the whole right to censor thing. 17 years on, I still hate that stable. The point I'm trying to get at is Charlotte Flair is one of those athletes that really should just stick to focusing on competition, because in the ring, one of the best, second to none. On the mic, needs a lot of work. Sasha, great. Bayley, I think Bayley is one of those performers that is more or less the complete package, but she's got the right attitude. She just wants to get in the ring and compete. You know, the fans love her. She loves the fans. They just want to see her compete. They're not too worried about her mic skills. She just wants to get in and do it, and that's just great. I'm going to say Bayley to win for that one because, you know, it's nice to do something a little bit different, and maybe this might see a face turn for Charlotte, because what a better way to get humbled if you're made to eat a pin or tap out on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania. And then for the Raw tag team titles, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass, or Cesaro and Sheamus. Now, I don't know the skinny of this one, but in all honesty, I say it's got to be Enzo and Cass, simply because underrated as heck, not really given the opportunities I think they deserve, which is pretty much all of them. Because stick the belts on, Raw will start to do good numbers. Prove me wrong. And then this happened last night on Raw. Undertaker looked at Roman Reigns and at the WrestleMania sign, and I'm thinking, oh, good Lord, no. Just no. If it against John Cena, I would have been fine with this because, I have my reservations and issues with Cena, notwithstanding and what have you, but Roman Reigns, who's pretty much X-Pac Heat reincarnated, is like, do you really want to, tease or entertain the notion of, someone who's getting more nuclear heat than Eva Marie, didn't think that was possible, against one of the most respected people in the company? And I'm just thinking, good Lord, no. I don't see it ending well, is all I'm going to say. I mean, I don't know. I really, really just don't know. And apparently the CM Punk chants got going again in Chicago last night. I love Chicago. And I know it's was one of Austin's favorite cities to perform in, with the acoustics of one particular building that he performed in. And, the people get behind CM Punk. I dig the passion and the support, but it's been 3 years since Punk walked out, and the way that Triple H took shots at Punk during his video package, saying, WWE spends second to none to looking after its athletes, and look at that guy, he's the best in the world. I'm like, guys, he left. He left because of the way you treated him. Punk is more concerned about his next fight in the UFC, and to some extent getting hopefully resolving the issue with Jason David Frank. And Jason, I'm a big Power Rangers fan for back in the day, but dude, you really need to let this go. I wanted to see the fight between you and CM Punk as well, but dude, just stop. Just stop. We are not going to see the Punk Ranger versus the Green Ranger anytime soon. It's just one of those things. Just take it now, let it go. I mean, seriously. Although I did hear that Jason David Frank was actually at the Royal Rumble one particular evening. I think he was actually at the Royal Rumble event, so that's something. I don't know. I just don't know. I think it's going to be one of those things where, given how WrestleMania has been kind of meh in recent, 31 was the best one that we'd had in years, probably since 26, 27. 32, although there were one or two matches that stood out where you thought, okay, that was pretty good. the rest of it was just very uninspiring, very bland, boring, and generic. And, whilst I was glad to see Austin show up at the event, he was only brought in just to squash the League of Nations and giving the stunner to the New Day afterwards. So it's just like, Austin, glad to see you and all, but is that what you really came back for? Just, arrive, stun New Day, leave after New Day had already been defeated. I don't know. Apparently, he said he would have competed, but he had like a back injury. That's what he says. That's fair enough. And then to top it off, I remember falling asleep during the main event for the Undisputed Championship match between Roman Reigns and Triple H. I watched the match a couple of days later. I'm like, this is the middle of the day. You guys are putting me to sleep. What the hell? Seriously. I've seen some boring matches down the years. Goldberg, Brock Lesnar from WrestleMania 20, notwithstanding. But that match, I don't know. So I'm hoping this year, because I've noticed WrestleMania tends to do better on odd numbers. If you look at 15, 17, 19, 21 respectively, the numbers tend to fare quite well. Maybe that's just me looking at things in an odd way, but then again, I'm odd, so make of that what you will. Hey, he who can laugh at his own expense has a healthy sense of humor. Keep that in mind. I like to think this year will be at least above average, because I think WWE need to keep in perspective, even with the network, they're still putting this out on pay-per-view, and people in the States are paying, I think, something like $79 just to get HD. It's like it's a big ask to have something as monumental as WrestleMania up to order for pay-per-view, and you're charging $79 just to put on a very average or mediocre show. You really need to give them a little bit more. I don't know. Whilst we're on the sole subject of, because I touched upon the CM Punk thing earlier, notice how it's rapidly gone downhill since the man left the day after the 2014 Royal Rumble. And I think a lot of people are still talking about that podcast he did with the Art of Wrestling, with the two-part thing with Colt Cabana, and the things he revealed. It's like, the whole thing with Z-Pack, which quickly became a meme, to the state of his health. I mean, I'd like to think WWE have actually improved things since he's left. I mean, I don't know the full extent of it. So write in the comment sections if you're watching this live or afterwards. Excuse me. But I don't know. Nah. I don't know. I just find, they had somebody that had the very blunt honesty of Steve Austin and the likability of Steve Austin. Although, if I ever saw CM Punk driving a Zamboning machine to the arena just to leap off and then clock Johnny Ace with a clothesline, that would have been intriguing. he was the best thing that they'd had for the company in years, and WWE found a way to screw it up. If somebody wants to send this link to CM Punk's Twitter, great. I know, and I'm saying this, to Punk directly. You were the best thing about WWE from 2011 to 2014. You actually gave people a reason to tune in to Raw and SmackDown on a weekly basis, because you actually made wrestling something to give a damn about. Particularly from his 316 moment with that pipe bomb in Las Vegas in June of 2011, to roasting Johnny Ace at, pretty much every given opportunity he could, especially to set the pipe bomb just before the Royal Rumble 2012, where he absolutely tore him apart verbally. Wasn't a fan of the whole heel shtick, but that's just me. I prefer face guys. It's just me. I'm not a heel guy. But his gimmick, for lack of a better word, it just felt genuine. It felt very sincere and organic, and I think that's why people got behind it, because it's almost like if Garfield, I'm going to go somewhere with this, so just bear with me. It's almost like if Garfield was a WWE superstar. He was saying what we were all thinking. So imagine Garfield goes down to the ring and just gets on the mic and goes, "I'd like it better if mornings started later." And then, you take that, the context of that, put it onto CM Punk, where he would say, "I prefer it if Raw scripts were actually decent." It's just like, yeah, he's saying what we're all thinking. And I just think that's just what WWE seems to be really struggling with. And this is something that I've said quite a lot down the years, whether if this was main event night, whether this was the announce table, Raw Down Rebound, or Smack View. WWE doesn't seem to listen to the audience. Whereas during the Attitude Era, when Austin got pops and people were, saying either Austin 316 or "Let's go Stone Cold, let's go," WWE were smart enough to realize that this is the guy they need to go with, and they started building plans around him. These days, the fans don't embrace Roman Reigns. And to be fair, this is where I'm going to be a little bit kind towards Roman, particularly where it stems from the 2015 Royal Rumble. He was the right guy with the right gimmick at the wrong time, because Daniel Bryan was super over with the fans. And, after Bryan had been eliminated, it's just like, oh, no. You just pulled the trigger at the wrong time. And WWE has not taken the hint. It's like, people don't want to embrace this guy. This guy has Eva Marie fused with X-Pac nuclear heat. I mean, if this was Vince McMahon circa 98, 99, he would have taken Roman Reigns out of the picture, at least get him off TV for 3 to 4 months, just have him do house shows, and then push someone else like Dean Ambrose, which they did for a bit, but then they took the belt off him, but then again they gave it to AJ Styles, so that tells you everything you need to know. I don't know. I just don't know. It's like I said, the whole idea with Reigns versus Undertaker. It's like I couldn't think of a worse opponent for Taker. Not in the sense that Roman couldn't work a match with Taker. That's not it. It's just the fact that Roman Reigns, I don't think you'd get the match that you'd be looking for, nor does he deserve this. If anyone deserves to face Taker, if this is going to be his last one, it's Cena. And yet, what have they got Cena doing? Doing this questionable couples versus couples with him and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and Maurice. And Cena fan these days, but I do appreciate the roast he gave him on SmackDown last week, saying Miz has stolen Daniel Bryan's offense, he's stolen Jericho's personality, he's stolen AJ Styles' personality. It's just like, Miz, I feel like they're trying to make something out of him again. It's like there's nothing to make out of him. He's had his time. They put the WWE title on him in late fall of 2010, and then they took it off him at Extreme Rules 2011, and he's pretty much fallen from grace since then because, in all honesty, he's not that marketable as a face or a heel. I mean, he's obnoxious, but anybody can be obnoxious. Shawn Michaels, during his first run as DX, was obnoxious. Triple H was obnoxious. Jericho, when he first came over as the somewhat overzealous tweener, was obnoxious. With Miz, he's pretty much unoriginal and irrelevant at this point. It's just like, it's like, I was in the main event of WrestleMania. It's like, yeah, in 2011. And in 2011, I seem to recall Captain America 3 being out. And it's been 6 years since then, and pretty much nobody cares anymore. Let's just move on. I don't know. I really have nothing to add to it. So if you're seeing this on my Twitter page or on Google Plus, or if you're even seeing this on White Hub right now, or you're watching this later when the live stream's done, leave your comment section below. What do you think of the setups that we've got for it? And whilst I'm here, this is something completely off topic now. One of my subscribers, who I won't go naming just in case the idea that they've put forward to me does not get well received. They've asked me, have you thought about opening a Patreon? And I've been very hesitant about this, simply because it's not, a lot of people tend to naysay, popo, call it what you will, because some people misuse theirs, or some people just use it as a means of claiming to fund a project to do stuff, and then misuse those funds just to go shopping later. You know who you are. Don't front. So I'm putting that question to my subscribers specifically. Should I get a Patreon where things like the costs of my website are covered? Because I'm not sure I should. But I'm putting that question out to you specifically because, again, I'm not 100% sure on the idea. because I like to do things where everyone's met in the middle, happy medium. So yeah, I'm just putting that question out there to you. Do you think I should have a Patreon open just to be able to fund basic costs for the website and what have you? Because again, I'm not 100% sure on the idea. I'm one of those guys, I like to be able to do things on my own steam. Be able to say that I did this through my own means, my own funding, and my own credibility, if there's any if there's any left there these days. But yeah, I'll just leave that question to you because I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the idea. Simply because I basically just need a second opinion. That's all it is. So, if you do want to get the conversation going on Twitter or on Facebook, or heck, I might even just do something similar on VidMe later. Just get the hashtag going with the tag WrestleMania 33. Yeah, we'll just do that. Yeah. Until next time, folks, good night from the night, and hopefully we'll get a thing going where we can actually get some more people in the live stream. Till then, take it easy.